Hello, everyone. Great Monday night, and welcome again to another episode of Conversations with Chosen Pen. This is Dr. Anissa Short. I am joined by the one and only Dr. Norma McLaughlin. And as with previous weeks, we have another phenomenal guest. But before we meet her, before you meet her, I want to say thank you as always for following us each week. Don't forget, we want you to like and
Mhm.
share. We are growing our
Please,
community. We
please.
want more and more in 2024, but we can't do it alone. So I want to thank you in advance. Whether you watch this live or the replay, be sure to like and share, pass it on. We are going to always be featuring phenomenal guests and bringing to you information we know you could use. This month is books you'll love to read in honor of this being the month of love and the birthday month of yours truly and Dr. Norma. So listen, we just loving all over ourselves this month, right? Because it's our birthday and it's the month of love. It's a lot to celebrate this month. Dr. Norma, you want to say hello to everyone?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so happy to be with you again. I'm at this month of love. It appears that I'm going to love you enough to be here each Monday. Just keep me in prayer that will happen and I don't get called out. But it's another phenomenal speaker we have with us today. I'm really, really excited about the things that she's going to share about some of the things that you know are near and dear to my heart that we often write about and talk about in various times and occasions. But so stay tuned. Tag your friends, tag everyone that you know, because this is going to be a broadcast, I think, that has an impact on more than just one or two people. Because a lot of times we have situations that we're going to talk about tonight that people never ever address. But hopefully by the time this broadcast is over, you know you have someone who loves you in this month of February.
That's a good segue, Dr. Norma. You're absolutely right. Our guest today is someone that's not a stranger to me. We became connected in 2023. Listen, don't let anyone tell you you cannot make valuable and quality connections on this box, as my daddy calls it, social media, using social media to broaden your reach and expand your territory, because Dr. K, who you're getting ready to meet, is someone that I met virtually. I feel like I already know her, even though we've not been in each other's
Mhm.
personal space. But it's been a wonderful experience getting to be connected with her and actually meeting people by way of my connection with her. Because of that, my territory has enlarged. And I want to say thank you to Dr. K
Mhm.
just for that reason. So, Dr. K, welcome again to the show. Thank you, as I shared with you before we went live, for saying yes to the invitation. Tell everyone a little bit about you. Who is Dr. K?
I want to thank you both once again for inviting me to this broadcast. I am so honored. And once again, Dr. Anissa, you know that I love you and I do appreciate everything. So let me just tell you a little bit about me. I'm Dr. K. I am the CEO of His Designs LLC, but also the creator of the Proverbs 31 and 10 brand, which is Ruby Girl. And Ruby Girl is all about empowering women and inspiring them. And just a little nugget about me, I love to see people win, especially women, and I love to help them win. So I'm all about promoting anybody that needs to be promoted. I have no problem sharing my platform. I love to see people win.
So now, Dr. K, when you say your Ruby Girl platform, I
Mhm.
want you to go a little more in depth, because it's important. It's one thing to say I support women and I want to see them win, but I want people to truly understand what their platform is all about, and the ways in which you use it to be a cheerleader for others.
Okay, not a problem. Now she's done opened the gate, so now I can really tell y'all all the tea. Are y'all ready? Let this tea cool for just 1 minute. So the Ruby Girl, let me explain what Proverbs 31 and 10. Who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is
Mhm.
far above the price of a ruby. So ladies, that makes you virtuous and valuable. And so I want women to know that you can be that Proverbs 31 and 10 woman, meaning just like she got everything done, she had her life prioritized, but God was still number one and she knew her role. You can also be just like her, empowered and inspired and led by God. Use her as a mentor, because you might look at her and say she's doing all this stuff. And so I use my
Mhm.
platform to remind women how great they are. On Thursday, which is Ruby Girl Day, I showcase women. I put them out there with their websites, and I celebrate them. I say great things about them so that they can connect connect with other women that are just like them. And then anything that I can do, like through my Ruby Girl Talk Show, to promote women business, put their stories out there, I do that. And for a lot of people that come on my show, they're like, this is my first interview. And so I like to be the first for women to put
Mhm,
out their
mhm.
greatness.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Dr. Norma, what do you think about this Ruby Girl platform?
I love it. No, we were discussing it earlier, and I'm going, okay, so what is that? Is it a mentoring program? Is it a help program? What is the Ruby Girl? So this is her platform, similar to the platforms that I have with the forgiveness platform, a forgiveness movement that empowers people to be better than themselves, than they currently are themselves, especially for women, because we know, and I'm sure that you know, and that you express through this, that our self-esteem, self-worth, all of that is very, very low. And so with the Proverbs 31 woman, we can see that if we are empowered through the things that are said in there, we learn it as godly women, then you will learn the power. You will be empowered. You will know that you are God's child. No, you are Jesus's heir. I mean, you are Jesus's sister. I mean, so all of those things come into play, and with the Ruby Girl, and looking at that woman, and once you know that, and once you can identify that within yourself, that's where I think you can take them, or you are taking them out. And I'm really excited about that. As you can see, I get excited about that as well.
Can I say this? You are so right. It gives them identity.
Yes.
It gives someone in the word that they can identify with, because the world is trying to destroy our identity. Like you said, take our self-worth. And I've seen so many women, including me, that was struggling with low self-esteem. And when God had given me the vision of Ruby Girl in 2018, it was like I had to become her. I had to start identifying as her. I had to show up as her. And so now women can identify that I'm God's girl. I'm God's chosen one. And it restores the respect and the value of the woman.
That's good. Let me tell you something. Personally, I did my own like study of that particular passage of scripture, the entire segment, but definitely one about your value being more than that of a ruby, right? And so in my research, we hear about people going on these hunts for diamonds, right? But to truly find a ruby is rare. It's a lot rare, much more. Diamonds are easier to find than rubies. Let me just say it that way. And then I read too that depending on the depth of color, because the rubies are red, but depending on the depth of color, increases their value, right? So not only are we rare, but our value is far above the diamonds. You know, we get excited. Truthfully told, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Let's be clear. But if you have a ruby and it's a deep red ruby, that holds a lot more weight than a diamond. So when I read that, I was like, wow.
I mean, I think if we teach our young ladies that alone, because diamonds are for the world. Now, diamonds are girls' best friends all over, anywhere you go. But when you come to that ruby, that blood red ruby, you have to be a child of God and know who you are and identify. Hey, I'm a ruby. I'm a blood red ruby. I'm going all the way. So I am precious. I have worth. I have value.
That is good. That's good. So yes. So all of that being said, Dr. K, listen, we are Ruby girls and we identify with that. And so I salute you for doing your part to raise that awareness, and also for doing your part to champion women everywhere so that they truly understand not only the value they bring to the table, but the value they are, period. And, and just based on not necessarily on status or anything, but simply because they chose to identify as a child of God. So kudos to you for the great work that you're doing. Now you've taken this thing to another level. The world needs to know, honey. We have a talk show where we interviewing people and we doing shout outs on Facebook and cheerleading and, being a voice for the work of other women. But now you've written a book or co-authored a project that serves to do more of the same in a different format. Tell us a little bit about your book, Dr. K.
So the book was very unexpected. I have been practicing writing all year a book. I've been switching up. And then it was like, I connected with a young lady, and she was telling me about this website. Went to the website, and God just started downloading everything to me. And so the book that I came up with is called A Ruby Girl's Guide for Exiting Domestic Abuse. And it says, sis, you are not alone. So it's a journal for women that are experiencing real time abuse. Now, there's journals, there's books, there's workbooks once you come out of abuse. But what about the woman that has to hide in her closet because her abuser is looking for her? And she can grab this book and she can open it up. And this book is the voice that she needs to reassure her that you're going to be okay, that you're going to come out of this, that God is right there in the situation with you. So it speaks to the heart of the wounded woman. It speaks to her heart and let her know you have not been forgotten, that there are sisters out here that have your back.
Wow. Wow.
Yes,
I love it.
I love it.
I love that. So tell me why that book? Was there because did you find that in your connecting with women through your platform, you found a lot of this, inadvertently, or is there some kind of personal connection with people that you know more intimately? Share why you felt that would be your first.
So I remember being 3 years old. And I remember sitting on the floor playing, and my mother and father was fighting. And so they were going round and round, and my father was accusing my mother of cheating on him, and she was denying it and everything. And then a few months later, my father actually stabbed my mother, trying to trying to kill her. And she had left and got away from him, and then eventually my mom did end up dying. But the thing that got me is when I had a conversation with my father, and my father began to tell me some of the things he did. He said he hid up under the porch. We were down south. He was down south in Mississippi, so the houses, were built up off the ground. He hid under the porch with a shotgun one night waiting for her to come home. And if she had came home with a man, he would have killed both her and that man. But this is the thing that really took me back, and how this affected me. When I was 3 years old, I made up my mind, sitting there on that floor watching my mom and dad fight. I said, they can't be trusted to protect me. So I'm going to have to take care of myself. And because I had that attitude,
Wow.
it caused me to walk into a situation where I was molested, because instead of me running to my dad for protection, in my heart it was like, you have to protect yourself. So that's why this book is so important to me, because of the things that my mom went through. Maybe if she had this book, she would have realized her worth and her value, that she was a Ruby girl, and she'd have been like, let me get out of this situation before it escalated like it did.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. I can say this. I had a conversation with two gentlemen on this weekend, and they were making reference to their personal experience as it related to the relationship that they had, or the lack of relationship that they had with their biological family. And so while they weren't the biological father, rather, and while they both grew up in different households and different circumstances during a different time, both of them had the same conclusion, is that when they became an adult male, they knew that they were going to be there for their children. So people can look at circumstances, whether it be good or bad, and come up with a different conclusion. But they made a decision for the better, to be a better version of what they saw, or what they experienced, or failed to experience. I hear you saying the same thing. This was not a good thing for me, but I'm going to take that which probably could have ruined or served to maybe not serve me as well as it could have. And despite the negativity I faced as a result of it, I'm going to find a way to make it work in my favor and help other people. I commend you for that, Dr. K. I really do. That is a really, really good thing. And I feel like I'm not even giving you the praise you do for what you've done by saying really, really good, because it's so exemplary for sure. Dr. Norma, you have anything you want to add or say?
No, that really just touches my heart, because in counseling and talking to other women, that happens so often. And oftentimes, as Anissa has pointed out, Dr. Short has pointed out, it's not necessarily positive. Yeah. That those people who've experienced that end up going down the wrong path. But I've also talked to people who similar to you, their father wasn't there to protect them. They ended up really hating their fathers, or disparate their fathers. I mean, this can be male and female, but especially for the female, they ended up We look at teenage pregnancy. We look at all the statistics of things that are happening. And if you go back to it, you can see that the father did not have that protection or that cover that we needed over that young lady, over that girl, even the young man, as I said. So we can see the importance and the significance of that father and that father's role, and of the mother, and the mother not having or feeling the value that she needs in order to protect her own daughter, because her daughter doesn't have any value. She doesn't. Her daughter probably won't either. And I call it the doormat syndrome, and they stay there in that situation instead of knowing God doesn't want me to be a doormat. God doesn't expect me. I'm married, yes, but obviously I am unequally yoked with this man if he's doing this, because he cannot be of God. So those are some of the things I think we need to express and teach, so that our young women, because we see they're really going way down some rabbit holes right now, but they can learn and understand why they're doing the things that they do.
That's true. Dr. K, tell me, how has their book, I know it's new, I know it's relatively new, but so far, how has it been received?
It's been received really well. I've had women that say they know women that's being abused. And I tell them how unique the book is. I have 7 co-authors with me. So we have love letters in this book. We have a testimony. One of the authors, she gave her testimony where she's been beaten. She was beaten over 600 times. And she shares just her short testimony, but also because of what happened to me and my decision, I have in the my situation, I have in the back pages for the mother to sit down with her child and journal with her child and ask her child, what are you going through? What's your moods? Because nobody addressed how I was affected in the domestic violence. But yes, it has been received really well because it's unique and it's different.
Okay, turn your volume back on.
A lot of times in the publishing circles, we've had people participate, whether they write their own stories or they participate in an anthology project. But in the process of writing, they said it was very lethargic. What am I trying to say?
Therapeutic.
It was very therapeutic for them. They felt a sense of relief. One lady told me in the midst of writing her segment for a book, she began to cry, and I was like, well, what was the crying about? And she says, I had a chance to release what had been inside me, and I believe people are gonna receive it as such. I just started to think about the people who might be able to relate to my story, and I finally got it out. I finally put pen to paper to share that story. Is that something that you found to be the testimony of those who participated with you in your project?
Yes, 2 of the women are actually domestic abuse survivors. So for them, this was personal. For them, this is something they wish they had when they were in the midst of being abused. And they talked about how, and I could see in the way that they wrote that they came straight from the heart, straight from the situation they had previously been in. So it was healing for them.
That's good. That's good. So how can one get a copy of your book? Should they just go to rubygirl.net?
They can go to rubygirl.net, or they can just go to Amazon and just type in the book title and it will pop up. It's on Amazon and rubygirl.net.
Okay, let's do this for the sake of those who may not have been paying attention like me. So it's a Ruby Girls Guide.
Yep, a Ruby Girls Guide for Exiting Domestic Abuse.
Okay, I forgot the exiting part myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put that on there. What else did you want people to know about this book? Who do you feel will be the ideal recipient or reader?
The ideal person for this book is someone that the family or friends have been trying to talk to, been trying to tell them to come out of that abusive relationship, but it seems like they have a deaf ear. With this book, I even tell them, if you have to tear the title off the book in order to give it to the person that's being abused, I say now they have something in their hand that they're going to be curious about. Now they have something in their hand that when they open it up, it speaks directly to them and their situation. Even the first page that they read, it's a 31-day journal. That first page that they read, it addresses the fact, how did you get there? And that you're not the first woman that's been there, and that abuse has been around for centuries. And when you open the door to what you thought was love, what came in behind that person was also abuse, and you didn't know that you was inviting abuse in your relationship. So right away it takes the blame, and it makes the woman know you're not the only one in this situation. And then it gives pages where she can journal, and then every day she has a Ruby Girl quote that strengthens her. So it basically walks her through in those 31 days of how to get out of that situation by resetting her mindset.
Oh, I love that.
Now, may I ask, do you have it on audio, or is there a journal where they can hear? Because lots of times if they're in an abusive relationship, their husbands or whomever they may not allow them such a book.
Okay, so I just published it in Christmas Day. That was my Christmas gift to myself. I published it on Christmas Day, and so far I only have the paperback. I'm working on putting an ebook out there. And a friend, it's funny you said that she talked to me this weekend about having one on Audible.
Yes, I think if they could listen to that, because they can do that in the car, could do it, I don't know, anywhere. They could hear it and not be afraid to sit there and read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good
While
point.
their minds are changing, and developing.
That's real good.
That's a good point. I agree.
I love the fact that you are addressing the elephant in the room, with the abuse, but not, you're starting with building the person up, working to help shift their paradigm, their thinking about who they are and why is this happening. And in doing that, you also, because you have the Ruby Girl quote, you're serving to build them up internally, because once they get that shift, eventually they're going to say, I'm not going to take it anymore, because I know who I am. I've been reminded of who I am. I don't have to be a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm choosing to be victorious. And once that mind changes, everything else starts to shift. It really does, to work in their favor.
And I think that's what the friends and the family forget. Why don't they walk out of it? Aren't they tired of getting beat? It's not that. It's a mental thing. You first have to change their mind. And once their mind is made up, then they're out of it. Because I see so many murder suicides, so many women that's getting killed. And a lot of times the women think, well, he wouldn't harm me, but he's beating you. He's degrading you. He's building steps up until one day he'll end up taking your life. Because for like 53 years, well, I would say 50 years, I had believed that my father had actually killed my mom. That's what I believed. That's what I grew up. It wasn't until July of last year I got her death certificate and I found out that my mother wasn't murdered. But that was my story from when my mother had passed. I told everybody, that was my testimony. So until I found out the truth, I had some issues, some daddy issues with my father, but I had already chosen to forgive him, whether it was true or not. And I'm so glad that was not the case. But the route that she was going with my father, it still would have been a lot of hurt and a lot of pain that she would have suffered.
That's good. Oh, wow. That's really good. I don't even have, I think when I say this is a book you'll love to read, I thought about that when I'm like, well, is it really something you'll love to read? Yeah, I think so. And it's one that you would want to give as a gift. I'm glad you made reference to that, because I'm not facing domestic abuse, but because I do work with women and I can pick up on context clues and conversations with them that they may not be physically abused, but they might be dealing with verbal abuse or psychological or mental abuse. And so to be able to offer them something to read, to encourage them, to help build them up, to be an extension of you, Dr. K, to be able to let them know, like, sis, you're a Ruby, you're more than, you are valuable, you are worthy. And this is not, this lifestyle and this experience is beyond your worth. It really is. It's beneath your worth, I should say, beneath your worth. Dr. Norma, any last questions or comments?
No, we could stay here all night talking about this particular topic. It's just one, as I said, is near and dear to my heart. And I haven't done it taught in quite a while on self-worth and women and forgiveness and that whole piece that we need to make women whole. And you're talking about them with their problems, and you're talking about family and friends, but a lot of times that woman who's in abuse is taken away from her family and her friends. She may even be in the same city or town, but her abuser doesn't allow her to have those types of relationships. So that's what I'm saying. In order to break that cycle, or to build her up. She has to be able to hear something if she's unable to read, because she probably would have to read it in private, which she probably doesn't even have at that point in time. But.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that though, Dr. Norma. You're right. So to have it in an audible format would just be another extension of your hand, making a difference to the lives of others, Dr. K.
Yes, I do agree. And thank you, ladies, for that suggestion.
You're very welcome. I can really see this, Dr. K. Honestly, I know you do with your platform of the Ruby Girl. I can very easily see this being some type of summit. This book precipitating some type of conference or summit where the conversations can continue. And the book, even though the book is making and will be making a great impact on the lives of other people, it's just the beginning of something even bigger. Dr. Norma, would you not agree with that?
Well, I said the book is only what? The start. The book is just an instrument that allows you to grow and allows you to reach a much, much, much larger audience, which means your book has to go into a course, your book has to go into a summit, your book has to go into a conference, it has to go online, it has to be all of those things in order, because if God gave that to you, he has, I don't know how many people out there waiting for the word. And you've got to get that word out to then more than however many people that you can sell the book to.
Yeah, that's true. I can see going into domestic abuse shelters, being able to gift those copies to women. Of course, October being the best. Many people know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we got plenty of that. But the domestic abuse awareness is just as important, if not even more valuable. Or just as valuable.
Even because we do so much with that, but to have churches buy books to send to shelters. We're always trying to do outreach, but and we know they need clothes, they need money, they need anything to get away from health. If they come, but sometimes in the counseling sessions that those books are available for them to give to those ladies, or those if there's a download that they can give to the ladies, would be a wonderful thing.
Right. That would be.
You have people who are looking for something, some kind of outreach to do, and I think that would be a great one.
It would be. So, Dr. K, we've given you some ideas. Not that you needed something else to add to your plate.
I'm like, I'm gonna be working the sun up, the sun down.
We're gonna keep you busy. That's one of the things you can depend on with Dr. Norma, because honey, you think, okay, well, that's great. She's like, no, that's not the end. The book is done now. What's next? And I'm like, what's next? So yeah. So listen, don't worry. We won't bill you for that advice. That's free.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Any last comments or words you want to share, Dr. K, to those who may watch now or watch later?
I would just want to say, if you're one of the women that are watching and you don't have a place of peace, and you have somebody that's either physically abusing you or emotionally abusing you, that God is waiting to give you a whole new identity. And I know you might think, well, I'm not worthy because he says I'm worthy, but God established your value in Proverbs 31:10. I'll call you the Proverbs 31:10 plus woman. No matter where you at, your value never diminishes. And so always believe God is right there in the thick of it. You might not feel that he's not there, but he is, because you're still alive. And every day that you wake up is an opportunity for you to start to change your mindset to get out of that situation. If you know someone that's being abused, get this book for them, because they no longer can hear you, but they can hear God through this book. There's scriptures, there's things for them to write it out. And God did not put this in the earth for it not to be a tool to save some woman's life. This is life and death out there.
Amen.
I love that. I love that. So it's the book, A Ruby Girl's Guide to Exiting Domestic Abuse. It is available on Amazon, but if not, you can simply go to rubygirl.net, connect with Dr. K, see all the phenomenal things she's doing and the impact that she's making, and of course, secure a copy of the book for yourself or for others. Next week, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, same place. We're going to have another phenomenal guest talking about books you'll love to read. No doubt about it. Dr. K, thank you again for saying yes. It's been an honor to have you, to be on this side, because you're usually interviewing me. So I appreciate the opportunity to share you with the world. Any last words, Dr. Norma?
No, just take what we said tonight to heart. If there's anyone that has any need or whatever you may have, don't hesitate to call us or text us or whatever, or to Dr. K, because we are all here to help you, be called to peace. We know that God calls us and wants us to live on this earth in peace. And if you're not, then let's try to figure out what we need to do in order to do so.
That's good. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget, be sure to share this content with your friends. We are growing and we're wanting more to reach more and more in 2024. It's been another episode of Conversations with Conversations with Chosen Pen with Dr. Norma and myself and our fantastic guests. And as I said before, we'll be back next Monday with another phenomenal guest discussing books you'll love to read. Thanks again for joining us and have a wonderful night.